अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया साधन निताय भजन निताय निताय नयन तारा दासदिका माया निताय सुंदर निताय भुवन भारा भजन निताय निताय नयन तारा दासदिका माया निताय सुंदर निताय भुवन भारा राधा माधुरी अनंगे मंजरी निताय नितु से सेवे कोटि शशधर वदन सुंदर सख सखी बल देवे सुंदर सख सखी बलदेव राधार भगिनी श्याम सोहागिनी सव सखी गण प्राण जनहर लभरी मंडप सजनी श्रीमणि मंदिर नामा जनहर लभरी मंडप सजनी श्रीमणि मंदिर नाम अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया माया नगर निताय कथये काया निताय सुंदर योग पीठ धरे रत्न सिंहासन सेजे भूषण निताय विलासे शखेर माजे आजे की कही बार निताय शबर अखी मुख सव अंगा निताय नुटर रंग की कभी बार निताय शबर अखी मुख सव अंगा निताय अंगा अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर नगरी निताय कथये काया अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर नगरी निताय कथये निताय बलिया दुबाहु तुलिया चली बव्रजेर पूरे दस वृंदावने ए निवेदन निताय न छड़ो मोरे निताय बलिया दुबाहु तुलिया चली बव्रजेर पूरे दस वृंदावन ए निवेदन निताय न छड़ो मोरे अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया अंतरे निताय बाहिरे निताय जगत माया नगर निताय कथये काया हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Where do you find that melody? Huh? YouTube. Okay. That's a good place. YouTube. Translation. Nitai is within and without. He is everywhere within this world. He is the lover and he is the sweetheart. Everyone says it. Nitai is my regular principles, my object of worship, and the light of my eyes. Nitai is in all 10 directions. In fact, he fills all the 3 worlds. He is not different from Baladev, whose beautiful face resembles millions of moons and is surrounded by Sakhas and Sakhis. The sister of Radharani, Anangamanjari, is very dear to Sri Shyam, and she is the life and soul of the Sakhis. She decorates the arena of the temple named Mani Mandira. Nitai sustains the Yogapith and becomes a throne for the Lord to rest on. Nitai is also the dress and ornaments. He enjoys pastimes with the Sakhis. What more can I say? Nitai is the eyes, mouth, and limbs of everyone. Nitai, 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 Nitai. I see only Nitai dancing, raising my hands and chanting, Nitai. I will go to Braja. I, Vrnadavan Das, only request Nitai to kindly never leave me. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, this is a long section, starting with verse number 234. So here's where we're going to begin. The determination of Nityananda is never baffled. Knowing for certain that this was the desire of Nityananda. Thereafter, the Vaishnavas caught hold of Jagai and Madhai and took them inside the Lord's house. So something's wrong here. Yeah. So the hitting in the head and all this had already happened. The intimate associates entered. This is where Lord Chaitanya's residence was, or where he was staying for the time being. The door was then closed, and others were not allowed to enter. Mahaprabhu Vishwambar came in and sat down. Nityananda and Gadadhar sat on either side of him. Adwaita, the greatest recipient of the Lord's mercy, sat in front of the Lord, and all the Vaishnavas sat around the Lord. Pundarik Vijayanidhi, Haridas Thakur, Garuda, Ramai, Srinivas, Gangadas, Vikreshwara Pandit, and Chandrasekhar Acharya all knew the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya very well. Numerous exalted devotees happily sat with Jagai and Madhai around Lord Chaitanya. Must have been a big room. As Jagai and Madhai rolled on the ground, their hair stood on end. They shed tears, and their entire bodies shivered. Who has the power to understand the desire of Lord Chaitanya, who transforms the 2 rogues into Mahabhagavatas? The Lord delivered many atheistic ascetics and sannyasis by such nectarian pastimes. Anyone who has faith in these pastimes attains Krishna, while those who have doubts will fall down. The 2, Jagai Madhai, began to offer prayers that were heard by Sri Gaurasundara and his associates. By the order of Chaitanya Chandra, Shuddha Saraswati, the goddess of transcendental knowledge, appeared on the tongues of those 2. Seeing Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya together there, the 2 could understand their actual identity in this way. The 2 great personalities began to recite prayers. Anyone who hears these prayers attains devotional service to Krishna. So here's the prayers, starting with 250. All glories to Mahaprabhu. All glories to Vishwambar. All glories to Nityananda, who is the support of Vishwambar. All glories to the acharyas, who take pleasure in chanting their own names. All glories to Nityananda, who does everything for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. And the long purport by Bhaktisiddhanta. All glories to Jagannath Mishra's son. All glories to Nityananda, who is fully surrendered to Lord Chaitanya. All glories to Sachi's son, who is an ocean of mercy. All glories to Nityananda, who is Lord Chaitanya's friend. All glories to the beloved Lord of the Raja Pandit's daughter. All glories to Nityananda, whose body is filled with compassion. All glories to all the activities of the Lord. All glories to Nityananda Chandra, the emperor of the Vaishnavas. All glories to the Lord who holds the Conch Disc Club in Lotus. All glories to the best of the Avadutas, who is non-different from the Lord. All glories to Gaurachandra, the life of Advaita. All glories to the 1,000-headed Nityananda. All glories to the life and soul of Gadadhar and the Lord of Murari. All glories to the benefactor of Haridas and Vasudeva. You have delivered numerous sinful persons in your various incarnations. This is glorified throughout the world as most wonderful. Now remember, they were previously Brahmanas, and they got distracted, to say the least. They became totally contaminated. But that covering has become removed. By delivering us too, however, your past glories have become minimized. Even the glories of delivering Ajamila have been minimized by delivering us. We are not flattering you. We are speaking the truth. Ajamila was actually fit for liberation. It is stated in the Vedas that a person who has killed millions of Brahmanas immediately attained liberation if he chants your name. And along Bhaktisiddhanta purport. Such a name was vibrated by Ajamila, so his deliverance was not very wonderful. Yet you incarnate to establish the truth of the Vedas. If you do not deliver the living entities, then the words of the Vedas become false. Yet we have harmed the body of your associate, and still you have delivered both of us. O Lord, just now see how much difference there is between you and us too. On hearing the name of Narayana from the mouth of Ajamila, 4 Mahajans came and appeared before him. We saw you, along with your associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions, after we drew blood from Nityananda. Till now you have kept your glories concealed, but, O Lord, the limit of your glories is now revealed. Now the Vedas have become most authoritative, and now Lord Ananta will proudly sing your glories. Now your hidden quality has become manifest, O Lord. The name of this quality is causeless deliverance. Nirlaksha Udhara. Nirlaksha Udhara. Causeless deliverance. If you say that despite their attack, demons like Kamsa were also delivered, then consider what qualities they had. These kings constantly saw you. They fought with you according to Kshatriya principles and constantly thought of you in fear. Yet they could not avoid the sin of attacking you, and as a result, they and their dynasties were destroyed. That they left their bodies while seeing you, yet which great soul cared to touch them? The pure devotees who once took bath in the Ganges after touching our shadow are now touching us. O Lord, this is certainly due to your extraordinary glories. Who can deceive now? Who can be deceived now? Everyone is convinced. The great devotee Gajendra offered you prayers, and you delivered him because he was fully surrendered. That example cannot be applied to demons like Putana, Agha, and Baka, although they attained the spiritual world when they left their bodies. Who had the power to see that without Vedic knowledge? What you have done to us, two sinners, however, has been directly seen by the people of the entire world. The sinners that you have previously delivered all had some qualification or another. But now you have causelessly delivered two persons who were Brahmana demons. This is only due to your mercy. Jagai and Madhai cried as they offered these prayers. Such are the matchless pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. On seeing this matchless pastime, all the Vaishnavas stood up and offered prayers with folded hands. O Lord, without your mercy, not even one's father would understand the prayers offered by these two drunkards. Who can understand your inconceivable energies, and when and how and on whom you bestow your mercy? The Lord said, these two are no longer drunkards. From today on, they are my two servants. All of you bestow your mercy on these two, so that birth after birth they do not forget me. Forgive whatever offenses they have committed against you, and show compassion to them. Hearing the Lord's words, Jagai and Madhai fell down on everyone's feet. All the devotees blessed Jagai and Madhai, who were then freed from all their offenses. The Lord said, Get up, Jagai and Madhai. Do not worry, for you are my servants. The prayers that you have offered are certainly true. No one can refute them. What you have experienced is not possible in these bodies. Know for certain that this was simply due to Nityananda's mercy. I have personally taken charge of your sinful reactions, O brothers. See for yourselves. In order to demonstrate that there were no more sins remaining in the bodies of these two, the Lord's body turned blackish. The Lord said, How do I look? Advaita replied, You look just like Sri Gaurachandra. On hearing Advaita's comment, Vishwambar smiled, and all the devotees chanted the name of Hari. The Lord said, See how these two sinners are black. Perform kirtan so that their sins can take shelter in those who blaspheme. Hearing the Lord's words, everyone became jubilant. They began to perform kirtan in ecstasy. Lord Vishwambar danced with Nityananda, and all the Vaishnavas surrounded them and sang the glories of the Lord. Advaita also danced. He had induced the Lord to incarnate and thus delivered the entire world. As they performed kirtan, everyone clapped their hands and danced jubilantly. They felt no fear as they bumped into the Lord thousands of times in their ecstasy. Mother Sachi and her daughter-in-law floated in an ocean of ecstasy as they watched everything from within the house. Everyone was filled with ecstasy after seeing this pastime. Their ecstatic love for Krishna was uninterrupted. The two drunkards danced in the association of he whose body the goddess of fortune is afraid to touch. In this way, Lord Chaitanya delivered the two drunkards and sent the blasphemers of the Vaishnavas to the hell known as Kumbhipaka. Blasphemy does not enhance one's religious principles. it only results in sin. That is why fortunate souls do not engage in blasphemy. After transforming the two rogues into Mahabhagavatas, Sri Gaurahari danced along with his associates. Overwhelmed from dancing, Lord Vishwambar sat down, and all the Vaishnavas sat around him. Their bodies were covered with 2 inches of dust. Yet they were all filled with pure knowledge. Lord Gaurasundara regained his former state, smiled, and spoke to everyone there. Do not consider these 2 as sinners, for I have personally burned their sinful reactions to ashes. In the bodies of all living entities, when I leave a body, it dies. The living entity cries if he feels a little distress, but I am not present in that body. It will be when it is burned. But the living entity's distress is due to false ego. He suffers miseries because he claims, I am the doer, I am the speaker. Therefore, the activities done by the 2 were actually done by me, and I have released them from the reactions. Knowing this fact, all of you, Vaishnavas, should see them as one of you and not discriminate against them. If you really belong to me, then listen to my order. Whatever you faithfully give to these 2 to eat will be equal to offering with love to Krishna's mouth. And all the honey available in the innumerable universes, anyone who gives these 2 a small portion of food gives honey to the mouth of Krishna. If anyone ridicules these 2, he will be ruined as a result of that offense. On hearing the Lord's words, the Vaishnavas cried in ecstatic love. Then they all offered obeisances to Jagai and Madhai. The Lord then said, listen, devotees, let us all go to the Ganges. So then the chapter continues. Now this is a long section. I skipped some of the earlier parts. Some of the earlier parts I'll just summarize. When the scene happened and Lord Chaitanya came with his chakra raised, and Nityananda fell at his feet and pleaded with him to not take their lives, Lord Chaitanya turned to Jagai and said, Jagai, he already spoke. It's right in the text. He spoke to Madhai. Why are you doing this? You're going to heat him again? It's just not at all necessary. Please don't do that. Because Jagai defended and protected the honor of Nityananda, he's not going to receive my chakra. But this Madhai, he's finished. And then Lord Nityananda pleaded with him again and again. And then so Lord Chaitanya insisted, only if you give him your mercy. So Lord Nityananda said, not only I give him my mercy, but something very similar to what Ambarish Maharaj said, if I've done any pious activities in my life, I hereby bestow it upon Madhai. So please forgive them for any wrongdoing that you may see that they have done. The appeal upon Lord Chaitanya's ears to give his fullness of mercy even to sinful people is part of the glory of Lord Nityananda. Now, it doesn't excuse, but there is a relief from that burden, and that's part of the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to come into the world of sinful people and deliver them. But he delivers them through the medium of, or the agency of, Nityananda, because Nityananda knows the desire of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya doesn't tolerate insult or injury to his devotee, particularly Nityananda. But when that devotee then pleads on behalf of those offenders, that's one Lord Chaitanya's request: fall at the feet, beg forgiveness. Then I can forgive you. If he gives you genuine pardon for all your offenses to him, it's like magical, but it's transcendental, and it's certainly a celebrated pastime for good reason, because in this world, as Prabhupada would speak, so many Jagais and Madhais, so many drunken people, so many sinful people, and the sinfulness of so many sinful people. Who can count how many sins, and who can count how many lifetimes they'll have to suffer from those sins, and still go in their midst and petition. It's as we had this discussion about, to the end of one's life, preach Krishna consciousness. And as Prabhupada personally set by his example, I mean, what was his consciousness? His consciousness was with Krishna. We know that from various pastimes that he exhibited. He was with Krishna, and while he was with Krishna, he was with us, or acknowledging the foolishness and sinfulness and mistaken conduct, and overlooking it and gradually lifting. I mean, it takes Shakti to do that, and thus be protected by the power of Bhakti itself. By giving Bhakti, one is protected by the power of Bhakti.